Perhaps there is no way to appease the pride of the vanquished. One either entices the will to fight or defeats their will to persevere, which is what is happening to your descendants who have lost the desire to rid themselves of their psychological chains, for there is no greater evil than the demons within ourselves. Sapa Inka. You must go and put an end to the rebellion. Runners. Do not worry. The Chachapoyas are not as hardy as we are. I will bring them to our way of life by taking thousands of people to their lands, as Mitamis. On the stone-paved road to the north, HUAYNA CÁPAC's troops made their way to the warm lands of the north, where the rebellious Chachapoyas were waiting with an army not as numerous or well-disciplined. The Incas committed atrocities against them. In time, this attitude led to more uprisings among other nations of the north, and the beginning of future conflicts. The young Inka, who was new in the art of war, was learning the ways of cruelty. Sapa Inka, the Chachapoyas have no wealth other than their women. We must take them to Cuzco. Generals, they will be the finest booty and the only way to emasculate their warriors. The Inca returned to Cuzco, but in those days it took them months if not years. His first expedition of pacification had ended, and he was on the road to greatness. But in our historical consciousness, we were on the path to our own destruction. Sapa Inka, we are receiving disturbing news. The Chachapoyas are preparing for another revolt. Huamana Chachi, my great-uncle, go north and see what those people want from us, short of their total destruction. I will go to the south. We must make sure that the Kala people are our allies, if we are to venture farther north. The Inca left to the legendary city of Tiahuanaco. Kuntersol, I am sure that the Huayracochas built these megalithic structures. Can you imagine what great metropole this place must have been? There must be more to our universe, and to think that it will all end. But, when? HUAYNA CÁPAC, you are drifting into the nothingness of our times. The quest of mankind is to go as far as where the universe is expanding. Although man, as a species, has already been to the moon, we still don't know who we are, or maybe we are not. The Inca heard more news of the north. Sapa Inka. The Quitos, Pastos, Carancs, and Cayambis are also revolting. You should return to Cuzco and prepare an expedition to go again to the north. Kuntersol, I must get back to the reality of our earthly world, which is to conquer and subjugate. Inka, we are created to kill or to be killed. It is survival of the fittest, a concept so indisputable and yet so insidiously repressed by those who are the fittest. If that is the law of humanity, we should also continue with that same adage. Before I return to Cuzco, I will visit the sanctuary of the sun situated in the middle of the Titicaca Lake. Nobles. Who are these people who live on these man-made islands of totoroids? Sapa Inka, they are the Urush. No one can change their way of life. They should at least comply with our laws. Inka, that is why they live so isolated. Manco Capac probably came out from the midst of this lake, and he began the empire that you are now leading. Perhaps he did. The deadly quietness of this place makes it an ideal abode for the gods. Warriors. Let the Urush remain as they are to remind us of our primordial beginnings. The Inca made sacrifices in the island of the sun. Then, he went to the Lupacas, Picasas, and Chiquitos, to explain them of his future plans, Kala nobles. I need all your men that you can contribute, so I can pacify the north for a greater empire. Great Lord of Cuzco. The Incas have taken our sons in the flower of their youth. We only have widows and the elderly left. Do not take the few who have grown to your embittered battles. The Incas may have deprived nations of their young, but the Old World people perpetrated the greatest genocide ever in the history of mankind. The natives are still suffering injustices committed by no other than their own people who along with powerful nations prey on them with their self-serving ideologies and avarice. Nevertheless, the Indians have managed to survive, unfortunately as the most humiliated of all races. How resilient can they be, and patiently await for better times to come? That will only happen when the granite boulders of their ruins are polished to pebbles by the winds of world indifference. HUAYNA CÁPAC left the southern region for the last time. He arrived at Cuzco. He was received as if he had come from a victorious war, when in fact he had desecrated the soul of his people. For there are no more wretched acts than that of taking the young to serve in the killing fields for someone else's creed or greed. Just who gives the power to some people, nations, or races to coerce others to go to wars and cause destruction? Where does this concept comes from? Charles Darwin is correct with his theory of the survival of the fittest, which is the karma of our humanity. Can we reverse this universal mandate? Man of the future, we cannot revert the laws of God, which in itself are ours. We all must fight for our own self-preservation. In a way, you are also battling for your own survival disguised by this encounter. But, you want to foster the survival of the weak, and why you are a healer and not a warrior. Let us stop this discussion, which is not a product of your own thoughts, but of that man of the old world who put this well-known fact into a theory. HUAYNA CÁPAC rested in the Ucayali Valley, before going to do what the Incas did best, fight. Country soul, from now on my policy of government will be to integrate and maintain what we have unified. Inka, to accomplish that you are taking the tools of devastation, and not the instruments of peace. Man of the future, I will do as it has always been done, first we fight, then rebuild on our own destruction. Warriors. The time has come to go north. We will take a great army that includes the people from the south, who are unwilling to fight for our cause that is also theirs. Sapa Inka, why are you forcing the Kalas to come? There are so many Inca warriors who are eager to go on this expedition. Because, by fighting together we will be a unified empire. Uncle Apo Larquita, Huascar will remain in Cuzco under your guardianship to learn the ways of the nobility. I will take to the north Ninan Quayosh to get acquainted with the extent of the empire, and Atahualpa to become a great warrior. Inka, with 3 sons, all capable of becoming the next Inca lord, you may be creating problems in the succession. Remember that children grow up to be adults with different ideas than their parents. HUAYNA CÁPAC, who was in his early 30s and no longer a young man for his times, was ready to follow his destiny as a unifier. The military exodus included women and children who would replace entire communities in the north. Historically, we are witnessing the last crossing of the Incas over the Apurimac River. HUAYNA CÁPAC proceeded to see his uncle, who was waiting for him with more warriors. Sapa Inka, my nephew, you are now a powerful warrior. I hope any insurrection that endangers the empire is eradicated, so that no one ever harbors any thoughts of revolt. Uncle Achachi, fear not of my commitment for the good of the empire. Huaman Achachi, you should know that most revolts take place to right injustices, and some nations have become great societies on that account. Country soul, to avoid subversions from happening, the masses must be provided with food to fill their stomachs, work to keep them busy, and religion to warp their minds. That is how civilizations become great. Huaman Achachi, deep in your soul there must be nobler aspirations acquired with the wisdom of your years. Man of the future. There will always be people, like you, who with their unattainable ideals putrefy the well-being of a nation. General Achachi, that is why it is important to educate every citizen, so that they don't fall prey to the whims of malevolent leaders. Then, why there is so much chaos in your times? In your days, they commit atrocities in the name of a superior race and not of a better individual. Huaman Achachi, those are the consequences of forging masses and not free-willed individuals, which can only be attained with liberty and democracy.